Welcome along to episode 723 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Zoe Turner joining me as well for one of our chats today, as we'll both be talking to John. Welcome along to episode 723 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Also joined by Zoe Turner this week, as we'll both be having a chat with Reverend and the Makers John McClure, all about his latest album release. We'll be having an natter with Alice Fevronia from the Great British Bake Off Season 10. She was a finalist there, and she's currently getting ready for the Coronation Big Lunch. Chris Commander let us know about the latest goings on with Sutton Arts Theatre and their current production, which is on now. We talked to Rod Bissett of the Grange Players, all about their forthcoming production. Jordan Mitchell let us know about the work that he's doing to raise funds for Crohn's and colitis. I have a catch-up with Kim Halliday, all about his work as a film and TV score writer and his single releases too. And Adam Rickett will be along when you hear him tell us how to avoid scams as he was caught out in the last 12 months. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
The countdown is on to the King's coronation, also to the big lunch as well. To tell us more about what's going on, I'm joined now by Bake Off star, series finalist in Series 10, Alice Fevronia. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very excited for the coronation. How are you?
I'm good and suitably excited as well, but I'm probably not going to have demands from friends and family for baked cakes during that period, whereas I'm likely to find you are.
Yes, it is very much sort of me and my element. I think coronation and baking sort of go very well together, especially for the big lunch. So yeah, I've certainly got my hands full, making sure I've got lots of treats for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, the big lunch itself is absolutely fantastic, raising awareness and funds. Tell us a bit more about what's going on there, because it all began at the Eden Project.
Yeah, so it's been going since 2009, the big lunch. And it's a fantastic initiative. It's all about sort of creating friendlier communities, getting people together, and speaking to people that you would to. And then from those conversations comes all sorts of opportunities, the sharing of ideas and resources. And hopefully that will lead to sort of the desire to create a positive impact in your local community. So all sorts of wonderful things have come out of the big lunch, and obviously the coronation is a fantastic opportunity to have one. So
absolutely, yeah, a chance to get together, chat, enjoy time over food, and really share together. And I think that's going to be one of the nice things, that we're seeing a nation which is all focused on one thing, and a positive thing, something good and exciting and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, though, the thing that we have to say, I obviously love baking, and so that's my thing, and I'm very excited to get in the kitchen, but not everyone is like me. And I don't want anyone to be put off attending one of these events or hosting one because they don't love baking, or they're a bit intimidated thinking, oh gosh, I've got to make this big banquet. You're not going to be judged by Paul Hollywood on this one. So whatever takes your fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be elaborate. You can turn up with a packet of biscuits and a cup of tea and have a chat with a neighbour over the fence. So whatever, however you can get involved.
Yeah, that works just as well. I say it doesn't have to be fancy food, but it just has to be about the social element of it. And I think that's the important part. And I think when we see you guys in the tent, I mean, not only are you being judged by Paul Hollywood and Prue and everybody else who's keeping an eye on you, because I mean the crew also get to sample the delights that you bake as well, don't you? And they let you know what they think too, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it always made me laugh, because obviously the judges come around and they taste all the food, and the crew are there. Obviously they can hear all the feedback, and they sometimes pull this fork out of their pockets, and as soon as well, that one's not very nice, so we're going to leave that one, but this one sounded delicious, so we'll go over there. None of the food got wasted, everyone sort of got involved with it, so yeah, it was great.
And have you actually prepared a special creation for the coronation?
So I've been sort of working on a few different recipes. I've got some patisserie that I'm going to share soon, and I made a really lovely salted caramel chocolate tart the other day, which would be perfect to sort of have at celebrations. But yeah, as I said, it doesn't have to be fancy, and no one is judging if you pop to the shops to buy something. The most important thing is that you're there.
Yeah, it's about coming together. And so the big lunch you mentioned has been going for some significant time, and this is an extra opportunity. I mean, the whole of May has got some great bank holiday weekends in it, so you can't move for chances to get together with friends, family, and in the right scenario, strangers as well, to be able to sort of spread a bit of community spirit.
Absolutely, yes. I haven't got it's 3 bank holidays. Yeah, so many opportunities, and yeah, lots of baking.
Which is going to be fun. That's the important part. You do enjoy it still.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's still my favorite thing to do, even after the stresses of the tent. It's still sort of what I do to relax. So.
And that is good, because it means you can enjoy the big lunch in all its glory. And obviously, this is, as you said, something that everyone can get together with. But how do you organise a big lunch event?
So it's very easy. You can head to coronationbiglunch.com, and there's so much information there. You can download your free event pack. It has loads of resources in it. And you can also find out what events are happening in your local area.
So check out what's going on. And have you got some tips online for us as well? You mentioned these wonderful things that you're baking. If we check out your socials, can we maybe bake one of these too if you fancy a bit of a challenge rather than that packet of biscuits?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at alice.fevronia.
We can see what's going on there. And do you keep in touch with any of the rest of the gang from your years still and future years?
Yeah, and past years. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw some of them yesterday, actually. Yeah, it's really lovely. I think everyone's so different that's on the show, but has this sort of shared love for baking. So yeah, definitely some amazing friendships were made.
And a chance to share those hopefully over a big lunch during the coronation weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's all sorts of partners, including Iceland and PG Tips. You've got Hans Rising Trust also involved in this too, and the Eden Project. They're all part of bringing the big lunch together, and that the whole community spirit of it. And I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing to do. Remind us of that web address where we can find out about our local big lunch.
It's coronationbiglunch.com.
Well, it's going to be great. Have a brilliant time with what you're doing. May all your cakes turn out exactly as you wish. I'm not going to mention soggy bottoms. Fevronia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
There are 2 one-act plays going to be on stage at the Sutton Arts Theatre. It all gets going on the 27th of April and runs through to the 6th of May. Christopher Commander is in one of those 2 shows, ironically called The Dumb Waiter. He joins me now to tell me more. Hello, sir.
Sorry, I'm just waiting and I'm dumb, but it's fine. No, it's good. Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. I hope we find you well and enjoying your time back on stage at Sutton.
It's lovely to tread the boards again. It feels like it's been a while, but that's the nature of the business.
Yeah, it has been a while since you've been down at Sutton. I know you've been doing all sorts of bard-related things all over
the place
in Warwickshire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust performing outside, which I will be again this summer, which will be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm all over the place. You can't escape me. I'm here.
But most people are trying to. However, they certainly won't want to miss out on this show, which is coming up as part of these 2 one-act plays. So tell us a bit about the one you're in and how all this comes together.
Right. So The Dumb Waiter, which is a Harold Pinter piece, classified as one of his masterpieces, a one-act masterpiece is what it's been classified as. It's sort of a comedy psychological thriller. I play one of 2 characters in it. We are both hitmen waiting for our next job. So we've been sent to a house to do... I'm trying not to give anything away. It's very tough. To do our job, and I, as the junior partner who has worked with Ben, my senior partner, for many, many years now, has started to question the organization that he works for and the politics and sort of the world around. It's sort of a commentary on community and a commentary on the world at large. There's a lot of subtext involved in the play. A lot of the questions, a lot of the Pinter pauses, as they are commonly referred to, are the questions that are being asked in my head, which will also be the questions asked in the audience. We joked a lot about wanting to be a fly on the wall after the show to hear what people's thoughts are and what their questions are, or how they interpreted all of those silences and what they think's going on. I think it's fascinating.
So you sneak out during the interval is your plan? Is that what you're thinking?
Quite possibly. Maybe in a different hat, maybe some glasses,
just turn up in a dressing gown, knowing you, to be fair.
Standard, right?
Yeah. So lots to see there. And then the second play, This Wide Night. And another one act. Tell us a little about this one.
It's a play by Chloe Moss, and it's about two women who have recently gotten out of prison, and they shared a cell together, and they became good friends. And it's about their life into the world, and to see if prison life can work in the real world, and what they've learned inside, and how they cope with what it's like being on the outside now, and also having a friend who has been through that. But they have both done terrible things to be in prison. So how does that relay to their relationship, and also how other people view them?
Mm-hmm. And then I suppose how people outside colour the judgment of somebody who you've been friends with throughout your incarceration, and then how that sort of relationship can change there. So you've got two people who are planning on doing bad things, two who've done them already and are maybe trying to reform. So it's an interesting evening of criminology in many ways. Yeah,
vice and crime, I think, is probably a good subtitle for the evening. There are a couple things I should mention. Mm-hmm. First of all, apart from getting your tickets, which you must come down and see anyway, we actually have a new offer available because it's we're encroaching on May territory. Mm-hmm. So you can get half-price tickets on opening night and May Day if you use the code half price in your checkout online. Look at that! I did the things.
There you go. Very good. That's Thursday the 27th and Monday the 1st. So those are the two half-price codes that you want to use. Is there a space in between half and price?
I don't think. No, there isn't. No,
it's all one word.
Yes.
That's a further reduction. So that's all good. So if you want to get along and save yourself some cash and see them at these special times, but it does run Thursday the 27th through till Saturday the 6th. And the only day you get off in the middle of that is a Sunday, and it's all 7:30 in the evening performances.
Yes, it is.
So that's going to be good. But I mean, it's part of the joys of being back on stage. And Sutton Arts Theatre is such a wonderful venue. And I think it's going to suit well because these sound like they're both quite intimate, conversational type plays with humour. And you're in the right sort of space for that, aren't you?
Yes. And especially the Dumbwaiter, we have staged it very close to the front of the stage itself, so the audience should feel as claustrophobic as Ben and Gus do, going through their evening, and the audience should feel slightly uneasy at times, relaxed in the laughter times, but should come on a journey with us because they feel so close, literally very close to us.
It's going to be an acting treat to both perform and watch. I think it should be good fun.
Thank you.
Sutton Arts Theatre is on South Parade, Sutton Coalfield. B72 1QU is where you can find them. SuttonArtsTheatre.co.uk. Nick along, find the links. You can find the links on their Facebook pages too for the tickets, or you can call the box office on 0121 355 5355. So lots of threes, lots of fives. 0121 355 5355 and get yourself along. And can you use the half price code when you talk to somebody?
I'm sure you could.
Ask nicely.
Ask nicely, yeah,
that will work.
Yeah, they're a lovely lot at the box office.
Yeah,
talk to them.
I know they have to put up with you being a diva every once in a while, but they
all the time. I just burst in silk and fabric and just ask for tea, and they have to give it to me.
It has to be herbal.
Of course.
Yes, we don't want any caffeine inside you. That could be dangerous.
Dangerous enough as is.
Well, Chris, you can be found online on the socials too. Where do we find you?
If you search up Christopher Commander, you will find me all over the place. My Instagram is the thing that I use the most. So if you search Christopher Commander on Instagram, you will find me and all what I am up to, and probably otter photos of cats. And
it's good how you do that, because when you play a cat, you take on the part completely. It looks just like a cat.
It looks just like a cat. I know. Strange.
Yeah, impressive.
Anyway.
It's a cat. Chris, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. Have a brilliant time. Break a leg. And we look forward to everybody enjoying the show down at the Sutton Arts Theatre.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Jason.
Reverend and the Makers have a brand new album out on the 28th and are exploring the country, bringing such music to the masses. John McClure joins us now to let us know exactly what's been going on. Resplendent, he's dressing out whilst consuming a smoothie. Hello, sir.
Hey, guys. How are you both?
Oh, good. Yeah. Now, music is obviously at the heart of everything that you do. And I'm loving the new album. I've been sent a little sneaky preview listen.
Oh, amazing.
Including, is it a bit of bossa nova on there as well? I mean, what have we got going on?
Yeah, there's one track called The Exception, which is, a little bit bossa. I'm a big fan of Brazil, actually. It's one of my favourite places in the world. I've been there a couple of times. And, I think, like, the album's, I don't know, the reaction's been off the chart, really. Just, like, the way people have reacted to it's blown my mind a bit, really. Lots of people saying they think it's, like, the best thing we've ever done and whatever, which I guess as a songwriter is what you want, innit? Because you plod round playing all your well-known songs, but it's, to have this reaction to new music is really exciting.
I think it's a lovely album, and my favourite's Overthinking. Will that be released single, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be a single. I guess that's my sort of... I shouldn't really be eating when I'm talking. My mum always told me not to do that. Hang on. It's not going to be a single, but a lot of people have mentioned that one. I mean, lyrically on this, obviously I started in that scene with the Arctic Monkeys and a lot of social realism and kitchen sink drama and that sort of stuff. Moving through, I've made political albums and I've made hedonistic psychedelic records, but this one is very much sort of an introspective in lots of ways, and none more so than that track. I'm not ashamed to admit it, I've got a sort of generalised anxiety thing that I've had since childhood. I take tablets to sort of mediate that, but it is an issue. I overthink everything. And musically, it's, I guess, my little ode to Nigerian music. Fela Kuti, the late great Fela Kuti, who I was lucky enough to go with Damon Albarn to Lagos once to hang out with Fela's son and spend some time at the legendary Shrine nightclub. So it's my little kind of Afrobeat number, I guess. But I love the horns, man. Anything with horns in, I'm a sucker for the trumpets, mate. I love it.
But does this make it a sort of South Yorkshire sound? Is that a thing for you? Because I mean, in the last 15 years, you've put your own stamp on the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the themes that I would identify as a South Yorkshire sound really maybe are the lyrical delivery. I sing in my own accent, so that's a commonality, I guess, to Sheffield. But also there's it's the birthplace of British electronica, right? So there's the use of synthesizers, but I'm so far into my career that sort of I'm at a stage where I can really do what I want, I guess, and just make any kind of song I want, as it proves on this album, and yeah. It's funny, innit? You make albums, some of them are well received, some of them are not. You make different types of records, and for whatever reason, this one, I don't know if it's just a bit more pop orientated in some ways because it's got choruses and catchy melodies or whatever, but people just seem to love it. It's we're vying for a bit of a chart position, and the sales are great. So I shouldn't moan because you don't even think you're going to be in a band in your 40s, and here I am. It's that great John Lennon quote, right, where he says, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." And I never assumed I'd still be here, and here I am, and it's going really well. So long may it continue.
Yeah. Do you think it's a reflection of where you are personally, and that's why it's doing so well? Because you're into your music production and you've got your confidence that what you're doing is good, as it were.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
that's why it's reflected in this album in that way, do you think?
Yeah, and I'm probably a bit more settled as a adult. I've got 2 children now, and my wife Laura, who's obviously found a member of the band and stuff, and I'm in a good moment in that respect. And I think some people just write better songs as they get older. I mean, I mentioned Damon Albarn, but also Richard Hawley, who we've got here in Sheffield, Nick Cave. There's a bunch of people, isn't there, who, for whatever reason, as they get older, their music gets better, not worse. And I think maybe I'm going to be one of them, because I really feel like as a songwriter, I'm in a purple patch. I'm in a good moment. So I'm just kind of keen to do more, really, and do, to put as much art out there as possible.
And heatwave in the cold north. I mean, what's that giving us? Because are you feeling a little bit ahead of things in the that part of the world?
Well, I mean, when it gets over 4 degrees up north, we've all got us tops off, haven't we? We're all like thinking it's like Mediterranean weather. But I think musically, it's kind of touching on almost like Philadelphia soul, which weirdly, when I was growing up, was the music my parents loved. They would play things like OJ's, Delphonics, Barry White. Particularly Barry White, they love that. My dad actually told me when he was drunk that I was conceived to Barry White, which is not something anyone needs to hear. I don't know. I think like that soul thing. When I lean into it, seems to work. But conversely, the melodies are coming from a more modern place. That my friend Danny, who I write my songs with, he's kind of coming more at it for, I guess, some like an R&B, maybe more modern Frank Ocean, Future, like these influences, I guess, a bit more.
So is there because I know you mentioned like the other people that you're working with, and your band name suggests that it is a band.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other people that are in the band? There seems to be quite a few of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird, Reverend, because it's kind of like an open relation, it's like an open marriage. So it's like my band, but then I can go off and do what I want with who I want when I want. But then there's a band as well. So there's a guy called Ed Cousins, who's my childhood friend, who sometimes will help with the record, sometimes won't. He's not been particularly involved on this one. There's my wife Laura, who plays synth and trumpet and contributes sometimes lead vocals, but most often backing vocals on all of the records. She's a kind of constant feature of all the music. We have a bass player called Antonia Poole, who she's great. She's recently joined the band. And then the drummer is a guy called Ryan Jenkinson, who's been with us for about 10 years now. So it has changed a lot, the cast, over the years. And then the record, I met a guy called Danny Lafrombe, who during COVID, I produced a bunch of stuff for other people, wrote a bunch of stuff for other guys and other artists, and did some stuff for an advert. And in the process of doing this, I met Danny, and he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Me and him get on really well. So he came and lived in my shed, and me and him just wrote loads of songs together. And I don't know what it is, but there's something about mine and his partnership that just seems to bear incredible fruit. So I'm looking forward to, trying to keep him in my shed permanently.
I was going to say, I bet it's the shed thing, isn't it? It's men in the shed. Brings out the best.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like, I'm actually, the drilling sounds you can hear, actually. I mean, I say shed, it's actually a coach house, but I don't want to appear to be a class. I don't want to appear to be a class traitor, having a double-story shed. And the drilling you can hear is that I'm having a tunnel built between the house and the coach house to link the two buildings together. So it's Danny is now going to have a sort of glass linkway, so he can feel like he's part of the family. And
you feed him more easily without the food getting cold, which all helps.
Oh no, we definitely feed him, mate. Yeah, he goes on strike if we don't feed him. We've got to feed him. It's there's sort of employment rights to consider.
So what happens next then? Because it took you a couple of years from 2005 to 2007 to get an album together. Then it was 2009. Every couple of years, if you get the chance, there's an album. So it must be enjoying touring this one. But does this sort of feed creativity for the next lot of work? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've already wrote a load of songs for it because me and Danny's sort of partnership is such a buzz that we just write songs all the time. But within the next month, I'm going on an acoustic tour all around the UK where you can buy the album and get a ticket for the acoustic tour. And it's like £15, which we think is a very reasonable price. So there's a bunch of local unsigned acts who are going to be jumping on to do that with me. And then after that, I went on a trip from Sheffield overland to our twin city of Kitwe in Zambia last year, looking at music. There was a great psychedelic rock scene called Zamrock in Kitwe in the 70s. So I'm looking at music all the way from between here and Zambia, and we're going to start sharing that footage online.
and just the wheels of industry won't stop turning. There's a load of festival appearances, and we're very busy. And I think I don't really want to let up now. I feel like I'm in a good moment, so why would I stop?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's much more craft than content. You're not a content producer. You actually craft this stuff, which I like as well. And I think everybody gets you for that too, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And what's been great in the last few years is that I do gigs in people's houses. I take the crowd when I do the big shows with the band. I take the crowd outside in the street afterwards. And what's great now is you see a load of young bands come up who sort of name check me and the band, and some of them do cover versions of my song, and they're even starting to do like a little scene of gigs in people's houses, right? So I guess in some way I'm becoming, I don't want to say an elder statesman, but certainly like a veteran. So I'm enjoying.
You're only 41. Come on.
Well, this is it, mate. Yeah, but I'm enjoying imparting a bit of advice to them younger artists, and watching them go on and be successful is really kind of inspiring. And yeah, it's great, man. I feel very fortunate, and I think it's a good time for music again. I think people after COVID have really missed, that live experience and stuff. So it's great to see it coming back to life.
You can get onto the website, you can get the album, Reverend of the Makers, Heatwave in the North is the album, and you're getting good values, loads of tracks on there, well worth a listen. And you listen to it, you can't tell which ones are going to be the singles because they're all single quality. It's going to be well worth
Keep talking, babe.
John, what's your social network of choice for us to see what you're up to?
Twitter's the one. I am across them all, TikTok and Facebook and Insta and stuff. But I am most responsive on Twitter, and you can direct message me there if you have got anything of interest you want to say to me.
Absolutely. Sounds like it'll work. John McClure, Reverend of the Makers, thank you for joining us.
Lovely. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
From the 11th of May, the Grange players are back in action once more with the Woman in White. Rod Bissett is here to tell us more. Hello.
Hello, how are we doing, Jason?
I'm all right. How are you doing over there?
Doing well, thank you, mate. You're doing well.
Good stuff. What's happening then? Because there is a constant stream of fine theatre coming from both the Grange and the Fellowship players, all on the same stage, and it is, as ever, wonderful to hear what you're up to. So tell us a bit about the Woman in White.
So, yeah, as you said, we're doing the Woman in White, which is adapted from a old Victorian novel by Wilkie Collins, one of those that's sort of always been heralded as one of the great British pieces of literature, and was done by Lloyd Webber as a musical, although you will be pleased to hear we're not singing in this one. We're just doing the stage adaptation.
Okay, so it is words only, and that tells the tale. And this is, again, another big cast piece, because you do tend to have quite large casts, considering the size of your stage.
We like to give people their money's worth, absolutely. But yeah, we've got a good size cast with this one. I believe we've got about eight or so people up on this stage telling this story to people.
Okay, so how does it line up? Who do we see on stage?
So we are introduced to a chap called Walter Hartwright, who is going to this big stately house because he's been employed as the drawing teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the tale that a few nights previous, he was out and about, and he encounters a young woman dressed entirely in white.
Okay, it's starting to sound spooky already.
And this woman tells him she's desperate to tell this dark secret that she's got, but he discovers this woman, she's escaped from the local asylum.
Ooh.
He makes his way. He eventually gets to his new job, where he meets the invalid owner of the house and the two girls that he's teaching art to, one of whom bears a very uncanny resemblance to the woman he met a few days previous.
Okay, so intriguing things. We probably better not say too much more, because
I'm trying my best not to give too much away.
I feel a plot twist coming on there that we don't want to tease too much. So obviously, this is another fun one to do. And I think when you get to act these things out and tell a tale in this way, I think that's what's great for the performers, isn't it? And that's what keeps people interested in doing this. As much as, there's always something special, different, and it's always nice to have something happening with the audience that keeps them on their toes.
Oh, absolutely. And we always like to give our audience the an absolute variety of pieces. And this one is going to be very different to the last one we put on, where there'll be slightly less food thrown at them. This one's a nice old-fashioned period piece and tells a rather beautiful, if dark, story.
So it's going to be one for not for the faint-hearted, but for everybody who likes a little bit of a twist and something that's going to scare them just that little bit in the right way.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just enough. And the players again there. I mean, what is your part in this one? Are you directing or are you on stage?
Interestingly enough, I've just been cast. We've had one of our cast members, unfortunately, had to drop out at the very, very last minute. And so I will be on stage, and I'm very quickly learning the part before we go on stage in 2 weeks' time.
But that's fine. You can manage that in 2 weeks. That's not an issue, and it'll be cool. But I say the Grange players doing such good work. I mean, we talked about all the productions you've had coming up recently, and it's been an interesting time for audiences to actually get out there and see some good quality drama, and also have a bit of fun too. So there's plenty more planned for the rest of the year, I'm going to guess, because we're a little way off the summer break, aren't we?
We are. We've still got our sister company, the Fellowship Players, who are going to be coming in, and their next production is going to be Dad's Army.
Oh, that should be good.
Which needs no real introduction. And there's a bit of a change to what the Grange put on. On the 6th of May, we're doing a murder mystery evening.
Oh, now this sounds fun too. So a chance for people to take part. Is it sold out yet, or is still a few places left?
It's not sold out yet. The tickets are absolutely flying by. It's a new company that the Grange are working in partnership with, and we're doing it all to raise money for a lovely charity called the Acacia Family Support, who do a lot of work for families who've had to suffer through postnatal depression.
Right.
And so one of our theatre members she's doing like a lot of fundraising for that charity. And one of them is they've got in contact with a murder mystery company who are putting on a show for people to come down, get involved with. It's not like a normal theatre piece. We need the audience to take part and raise some money for charity.
Okay, that all sounds good. And all this, of course, is available to find out more via the Grange website and also the Facebook pages.
Absolutely. So our website, as ever, is thegrangeplayers.co.uk. And then through there, you'll be able to find the link to go to the tickets, or they can just ring the box office on 07909 036 835.
Excellent. You can say, remember lines and remember phone numbers. Multi-talented, this man. Rod, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. Grange Players is what you're looking for. It's all at the Grange Playhouse, just down by the Arboretum in Walsall, and well worth getting yourself along to. So thanks again. Have a great time. Break a leg and enjoy yourself unexpectedly on stage.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure, Jason.
Tim Halliday. It may not be a name that initially springs to mind, but you're guaranteed to have heard some of his music. And he joins me now to tell me off for being quite so rude. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And it's not rude at all. It's the reality of how it goes.
Well, it's reality of what you do as a big chunk of your work, because you're not supposed to know who you are. That's the deal, isn't it?
That is the deal, yeah. And unless you're working on a horror film or a romantic film, which I'm not renowned for romance, then the music's really got to be part of a much bigger piece. So I don't really mind. And let's put it this way: if the film is rubbish, everyone said it's the director's fault. Nobody ever says it's the composer's fault. So that's part of the reason I do it.
Makes all the difference. But I mean, you have to have a massive skill to be able to help tell a story, because a film or TV series without the score really just doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's interesting because I'm a lot less belligerent about this than I used to be when I was younger. But, the fact of the matter is I pluck music out of the air. And, that's not something everyone can do. And it's taken me quite a long time to realise that. But it's one of these things where you sort of go, well, one of the joys of my work is to talk to directors or producers or whoever it is who's briefing you, and to kind of prize out of their head what was in it in terms of music. And it's a great thing. My favourite brief, obviously, my favourite response to if I write somebody a piece of music, my favourite response is, yeah, it's great, thanks. But my second favourite is it's rubbish, do it again, because that's really clear. There's some really clear instruction there.
You need to know what they're looking for, and if it's obviously it's their fault if you've got it wrong as well.
Well, I used to say that. I've kind of come away from that towards it's my job to understand the words they're using. So I said to somebody once, I was when I was at I went to the London Film School, a long time ago, and Barrington Phelan.
Oh yeah, Morse.
Yeah, Morse, yeah. And he did a great score for a film called Nostradamus, which was absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. And he said, I can give you some advice. Ask the director to describe in one word the scene that you're working on. It's like, that's brilliant. So the next thing I did, which was at the film school, was a student film, a horror film called B Movie Status. I said to the director, who I still speak to, so I haven't peed him off that much. What's this scene to be like? And he said, scary. And I'm like, okay. So I made a little note on my pad. And then we watched the next scene. I said, what about this one? And he said, scarier. I'm not sure this is the great advice I thought it was, but that's the deal. You know, when the director says I want it to be something, you have to find out exactly what they mean by that.
Yeah, but you do get the joy of seeing these things through as well, and then coming up with a score which is going to tell the personalities. And often you will have a theme for a person when they're on screen, even if you don't realise it. It's there, and it actually sets the tone, and you can tell the actor's mood from the music that you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you have to, that's what you're driving really, is to support what the actors are doing, or to support the arc of the scene. So the scene starts somewhere and ends somewhere, and you've got to support that traveling. And it's the greatest thing. And, you know, horror films are my favorite because you can sit in the cinema and watch the audience jumping when you made them jump. Because without, as you said, without the music, it's not really that scary.
It just doesn't work. And music has this magic that does odd things to our world. And it's if we had a soundtrack to our everyday lives, I think there'd be a lot happier people out there because they'd know what they were supposed to be thinking.
You see, this is another thing I've only just discovered. I have a soundtrack. It's going on in my head the whole time. And sometimes it's stuff which is other people's, and sometimes it's stuff which is mine. And sometimes I come into my studio and kind of go, right, I need to get that down. And about 2 days later, I realise it's somebody else's and I've nicked it. But there is music in my head the whole time, and I know that's not the case for everybody. Even you know, running down the shops when I was a teenager, there was a kind of something going on, bumping in my head.
So what have we heard your work on recently?
So recently I've done a few things, a couple of things which are out of the ordinary, really. The first is a documentary called I Am Gen Z, which is available on Amazon pay-per-view video now, which is about the generation that have grown up with smartphones. So the Gen Z people, which is 1997, I think, were the first generation to be born when there were smartphones. And they've grown up with TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all those other horrible things. And the effect it has on their minds, because it does cause anxiety. It does kind of twist you.
And it's a different sort of soundtrack, isn't it? Compared to what you have in your head with music, they have got everybody else's content as the soundtrack to their lives. And it means sometimes their life doesn't appear. So that must have been interesting to score. Yeah, it was. It was a really interesting thing to do. We had some music that I'd already played to Liz Smith, the director, and she liked. And then it just as we worked our way through it just got more and more dystopian. It was pretty dystopian to start with, but it just got more and more dystopian. There's a lot of stuff in the film about eating disorders and body image and anxiety, but also it comes across quite positively in the end, in as much as a lot of these young people that are featured in the film are kind of like, well, yeah, of course we know that, but what are you going to do? It's a bit like, cars are polluting the atmosphere. Well, we know that, but we're not going to get out of them. It's that same sort of mindset. So that was quite an interesting thing. Yeah, it's you create the soundtrack to people not trying to let this thing rule their lives. Yeah, absolutely, and turn it off basically. Abandon Facebook and turn off your phone. Unless, of course, they're checking out your music, but we'll come to that in a moment. Yeah, there are other ways. And then I did a couple of things for as audio tours, because I started getting interested. It's a bit of a saga. I set up my own record label about 15 years ago because I kind of was tired of other record labels. And so I set up my own label, which is just me and my friends, really. And then I started making videos. And then when I started making videos, I sort of kind of went, well, you can actually make
more than this. And I started getting interested in augmented reality and mixed reality.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of got put on a hard stop for lockdown because obviously we weren't doing very much.
Reality wasn't available during lockdown.
Absolutely, any kind of reality, augmented, mixed, or real. I started making audio tours because I thought when people come out of lockdown, they're not going to want to go into some dirty little club and listen to music. They're going to want to do something outdoors, maybe. And so I built 2 audio tours, one in Bristol and one in Bath, which are a walking tour, basically, but scored. So it's everything I do is driven by the music and the want of music. So I did some research into what had happened in Bristol, and apparently there's a riot every 30 years. And so we did some more research into that. And the audio tour talks about those riots in Bristol, and as you walk down from the top of Bristol down to the water, really. But also at the same time talks about St James's Fair, which was a medieval fair, obviously, that ran there for 600 years until the Victorians decided it wasn't good for us. And also a Victorian serial killer called Amelia Dyer. So I've kind of wrapped it all together. My record label's name is Unpleasantville, so everything I do is kind of comes with that warning.
You know what you're letting yourself in for. And when you talk about the record label, this is the release for your EPs, and you're sharing music which has previously not been shared before, I take it.
No, absolutely not. No, this is all new. This is the other strand to my life. So on the one hand, I'm driven by somebody in my ear saying it needs to, go bump when a hero goes bump. And then on the other hand, if I'm not doing anything much else or there's something pops into my head, I kind of record it and let it run. And as part of that, what I've been doing the last 2 audio only things that I did, which is Babylon, the EP that we're talking about today, and an earlier album called Desiderium. I'm also telling stories in those too. So it's not just music. It's one of the problems with being a media composer is you end up thinking, just music will do. And of course, some people don't want to hear track after track of instrumentals. And so these are stories about my early life, and some of it's made up and some of it's not.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the interesting part is you released it as a part work as well. So it was something that came out in the early part of the year, and this was it's almost like if you were Netflix, you'd be waiting for the whole box set to land, and now the box set has landed.
Yes, I wish it was. I wish there were people binge listening. That's a wonderful thing. I didn't think of it like that. What happened was I was chatting to a friend of mine about social media. I mean, my life is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm having a splendid time, but I don't really post much on social media because Kim's going to get another cup of coffee and a biscuit. It's not that exciting.
Depends on the biscuit.
And so I was saying, that's an indication of the rest of my life. The Garibaldi is the most exciting thing that happened today. So I was chatting to a friend about the fact that I never post, and she said, yeah, it was so much easier, wasn't it, in the 60s when there was a single and then nothing for months, and then a single and then nothing for months. And I kind of went, oh, that's a really interesting way to do it. So that was why I released it as a part work, to sort of fill in the gaps and to go back to that kind of we're waiting for his next single theory, because there's only about 12 people on the planet who remember that far back.
Well, all good fun nonetheless. So I take it we're looking from Pleasantville when it comes to the label. Is that where we're releasing it, or is it coming via the Kim Halliday site?
It's on both, obviously.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's like those people in the Last of Us. It's out. It's on Amazon. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. If you go to unpleasantville.com, it's there. It's on kimhalliday.com. It just you'll fall over it. If you go to the shops, you'll trip over it.
Well, if you go to the shops, there'll be a theme tune playing in your head as you're on the way as well, and it'll be one of these tracks.
We'll be fine.
So we're going to take a listen to some of it now. We're going to choose one of the parts. We've got lots to choose from. We've got 6 parts, each with 3 chapters, I suppose they would be.
Versions. Versions, really, they are, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to take a listen to now? Your choice.
I think Dub of Tower would be fun.
Okay, so Dub of Tower, this is in the 3rd track of the 2nd EP.
Yes.
Okay, we'll work out what that means when we've listened to it. Meanwhile, give us all those web details once more, and if we dare find you on the socials, biscuit in hand.
Yes, absolutely. So my website is www.kimhalliday.com with 2 L's. The label, the vehicle for releasing is www.unpleasantville.com. You can find me on Bandcamp, where everything is free. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon, it's on Tidal, everywhere. It's also available on a website called sonicmaps.xyz, where I've mapped the 6 parts to where they're meant to be, where they're about. So that's a wild trip between where the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were in Iran, or said to be in Iran, through to just outside where my mum used to live in Basingstoke. So I don't think anyone's going to be walking that anytime soon, but you never know.
I think there'll be a virtual tour of that, and we've got the soundtrack for it already.
It will need to be virtual, I'm afraid.
Lovely speaking to you. Thank you for joining us. Very much looking forward to listening to all of this. Meanwhile, we're going to listen to the dub of The Tower. And I thank you for your time, efforts, and interest.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Jordan Mitchell is at it again, raising funds for Crohn's and Colitis UK. I would say to a charity that's close to my heart, only the region that it's more interested in is a lot lower down. Jordan joins me now to tell me what he's got going on. Hello, sir.
Hello there.
How are we doing, and how's the charity work coming together? Because I know there's a raffle on the way.
Yeah, it's going really well. Obviously, we have a fair few events each year. Probably every couple of months, we have a major event, as we call it. Our next event / raffle that's underway is one where we've got a fabulous singer called Izzy E. She's a young solo female artist, only 16, won a plethora of awards locally, and is starting to get nationally known now and recognised. And she's kindly donated her time to put on a event for us where we can do our raffle, do a little bit of auction for our memorabilia and our signed items while she does singing. So
sounds like an absolutely brilliant
the
event.
Basics of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, literally got everything covered.
Absolutely. A great night out. We like a raffle. In the Midlands, we always love a raffle. And the fact there's an auction as well just makes it even better. And say, all money for a good cause. So Crohn's and colitis are two conditions of the bowel and lower digestive tract. And which one is it you've got?
Yeah. So I have a little bit of both. Essentially.
Get you.
Mainly... So obviously it covers Crohn's and colitis, you see. So some people just have Crohn's, some people just have colitis. The colitis references to like the ulceration in the tracts as such. So I've got mainly Crohn's, obviously, in the bowel, with luckily just slightly a bit of ulceration with the colitis side. For that, obviously, I receive every 8 weeks, a treatment, infusion, mild chemotherapy. As such, it's a form of chemotherapy that helps me just balance my life, not be affected as much, and helps me keep on the go as much as possible.
Yeah, because I've mentioned several times, and when I've done interviews, because I have ulcerative colitis, mine's left-sided and also pretty much in remission at the moment. She says, touching wood. It acts up every once in a while, but it's basically it's like having eczema, but where the sun doesn't shine in some ways, and it's. The steroid applications which can go on there. There's all sorts of things like xylazine, which is an anti-inflammatory. You're on the same drugs as people who have rheumatoid arthritis very often, and of course there's also a range of immunotherapies which can help in the case of colitis, but may not necessarily be as helpful in the world of Crohn's. It's in part an overactive immune system attacking yourself. So there's all sorts of conditions that are, and features of the condition. And having seen my colon on screen during a colonoscopy, it's an unusual place to visit, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's very surreal at the least.
Yeah, but with the work that you're doing, it helps with the support through Crohn's and Colitis UK. They obviously do a massive amount of work, even as far as taking a giant colon out on the road, which has been in the Midlands in the last 18 months. And, this sort of thing to raise awareness. And people can have something like a mild version of Crohn's and not really realise it. And there were treatments out there which could help them feel better and avoid the rush to the toilet, which is inconvenient and sometimes embarrassing.
Yeah, very much so. But obviously on that, there's a lot of misdiagnosis as well, which I experienced myself. I'm 27 now. I reckon I probably had it when I was roughly 21, 22 years old. Officially diagnosed at about 23, 24 I was. But I was probably misdiagnosed for a good year of them unfortunately telling me, you're just a young lad, you're trying to get your time off work, you just want a sick note. That's very much my story on that.
I'm 20 odd years older than you, and I was lucky. With colitis in particular, I know that it tends to start around 18, 19, 20, 21. And
Yes.
it's something like 60% women who get it and 40% blokes. And it's one of those things that, it's there and it's with you for life in some way or form. It's just how it works out. And interestingly, it always seems to be a Western disease rather than something which is happening as much in other parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
So, it's you do wonder what the cause may be, but certainly the treatments themselves can be rather invasive, and the support that you get through the charity is absolutely essential, isn't it? Everything from the radar key and beyond.
Yeah, literally. I mean, luckily, I don't need to tap in too much into the charity. I mean, I know the charity, how well it works. I'm quite fortunate where I haven't really had to tap into it too much. But obviously, the main reason why we've chosen to raise the money for the charity is obviously to raise the awareness and to help support the nurses, because we are fully aware that there is a massive shortage of trained IBD nurses, especially, with the 24-hour helplines, which is obviously probably the more of a route that I've used before with the helplines, which are amazing. I haven't fully gone into all the depths of the charity. Yes, I've got my radar key, I've got my card, etc. But I've been very fortunate that with the IBD nurses, when I'm on the phone to them or emailing, they've pretty much sorted me out in terms of getting me in hospital, and then the hospitals kind of took over that. But obviously, my kind of main goal and objective is because of the, I'd say, poor, I wouldn't say maybe negligence, but maybe it was quite hard, like I say, me talking about probably 6 months to a year of being misdiagnosed, being basically saying that I'm lying. And it was only fortunate that the once that my doctor was off, another doctor examined me and was like, oof, this is actually quite serious. Maybe we should take it to the hospital. And if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have started off. And obviously, going back to the hospital, the start of that was very, very worrying too, because I had my colonoscopy, like you said, which is obviously mind-blowing when you actually go through it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and as a young lad, it's quite hard to accept or to kind of go, well, this is what's going to happen, this is me. But even after that, they still said, oh, we can't find anything, we don't think you're in any pain. Pretty much backing up what the doctor said, calling me in uncertain words a liar, that I'm making it up. The pain's not real, they can't see much inflammation, they can only see minor bits. And it wasn't until, say, that happened roughly September, October, around that time, when I had my visit to the hospital. And then I was called in on an emergency on Boxing Day. I've been struggling the week before Christmas, and then following Christmas dinner, I'd have my, your big massive dinner.
Tuna roast potatoes,
little did I know. Yeah, exactly. It was the sausages, the bacon, the pigs in blankets, the stuffing.
Processed, and very often onion as well. That sort of thing will set things off. The stuffing probably.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Onion is a big thing for me. And I was really bad, and they managed to book me in on an emergency operation to cut essentially my back end open without going too much into it. And when they cut it open, they was like, they was in disbelief of what's been going on, from obviously the notes that have been passed down to them from the MRIs, the colonoscopy, doctor's notes, examinations. It wasn't until they actually cut me open they was in utter shock and disbelief of how bad it was, because the main source of it was pretty much at the start of the anus, rather than all the way up into the small bowel as such. And that was the main thing that was causing the discomfort. But it wasn't, unfortunately, until they cut me open. It was a bit of a godsend, and obviously a bit of realization, because it was the only thing that gave me some clarity and proof as to why I was in so much pain and that.
They've put you back together. You're managing the condition now. Obviously, it allows you to have more of a normal life. But they say the fundraising you're doing here is going to help those who haven't got the same sort of access as you've got, and for the education and understanding that's out there. And that's certainly something that you need, because sometimes when you come wandering out of a disabled toilet, you get a peculiar look, and you've been there for a blooming good reason, and you don't necessarily always want to have to discuss even a minor amount of what we talked about here. But give us the details of the event that's raising funds for this big one, and how people can get tickets and come along and support.
Lovely. So obviously the biggest thing to do is, obviously, if you're on social media, especially Facebook, we have a big page on there with all our information, all our raffle items and stuff like that, where you can pre-purchase tickets, raffle tickets, even if you can't make it, so you can still be a part of the fundraising. You still be a part of that. So that's Mitrabilia. That's MITCHRABILIA. So that's Mitrabilia. Check that out on Facebook. That's got pretty much all the events. The event itself will be happening at Coombswood Sports and Social Club, which is Stewart's Road in Halzowen. Like I say, it's free entry. Actually, we've made it free entry because we have such a large backing that we want to kind of give something back to the people who always support myself, my family, and obviously the cause. So it's a free event, but obviously through that, we've asked if they'd like to make a donation of whatever they feel the night was worth before or after. They can make a donation on the quality of service they have received, which I think is more than fair. And obviously with that, people that potentially don't buy tickets and actually come along we're more likely to have a go on the raffle or get involved in buying some stuff. So it's something I'm trying out that I've not really done before, but it's kind of a reward to the loyal people that help and support the cause while we can raise hopefully a couple of £1,000 on the night. That's the plan.
That'd be good.
Yes, exactly. Fingers crossed, definitely.
And what day is it all taking place?
It is Friday the 5th of May on the Coronation weekend. It's Friday the 5th of May.
Yeah, good luck with all that. Good luck with your ongoing treatment and care, and hopefully they'll be able to keep you on the straight and narrow, and you don't have to have any more emergency work done. But there's obviously a lot going on with the condition and a lot to understand. You can find out more by searching for Crohn's and Colitis UK and see the work they're doing nationally and the sort of area that your cash will go to help support if you look after what Jordan's got going on here. Jordan Mitchell, thank you for joining us.
No problem, Jason. Thank you for your support as well.
Get-rich-quick investment scams are targeting cash-strapped people in the UK. They're on the rise as new data reveals that investment scams account for 36% of all cases in 2022, with an average claim of £5,000 per victim. Someone who's here to tell us more is actor and victim of financial fraud, Adam Rickett. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are we?
I'm good. I hope we find you well and recovering from the situation that was created for you.
Yeah, I mean, my one was last year. I was contacted out of the blue by somebody purporting to be the Barclays fraud department. And that then became a 2.5 hour process whereby at the end of it, we were scammed out of £50,000. Now, it doesn't, luckily or unluckily as you might think it, that wasn't what they were looking for. That was the tip of the iceberg. They were looking to actually empty us out. But luckily that's halfway through the process. I managed to at least cotton on that they weren't who they said they were. But this isn't some unsophisticated thing where somebody's ringing up and saying, "Hi, I'm Bob from so-and-so bank, give us all your money." It's far more sophisticated than that. The example I would give from my experience was they had cloned the Barclays Bank fraud department. They were giving the names of people who, when you looked them up on LinkedIn, sure enough, worked for the fraud department. They were texting me from the bank fraud line. And I never knew that was possible, to be honest with you. And it became a very sophisticated scheme, which I did completely fall for. But that's not the only version of scamming that's out there. Scamming is now far and away the most prevalent crime in this country. If you took all the other crime in the country, whether it's prostitution, drug dealing, murder, whatever, and added them all together, it still doesn't even get to, close to the amount of scams there are. In some reports, there's nearly 4 million scams a year now. And yet there's only a prosecution rate of 1 in every 1,000. So it's a kind of no, all risk, no No, all reward, no risk situation at the moment. And the one we're seeing a lot of actually growing exponentially as well is these investment scams, which have been specifically created to target people during the cost of living crisis who are struggling and think maybe they can get that little bit extra to help get them through. So Nationwide have, launched this campaign today, which I'm really happy to be involved in, to try and raise awareness of the issue and the steps that people can then take.
Yeah, because you do need to try and protect yourself where you can. But I mean, you seem quite savvy. You know what's going on with your finances, and you caught out, but still realised what was happening partway through. So at least you were able to spot that. So from that point of view, good that you're able to spot it. But were you able to reclaim any of the money that had been taken?
The chances of you actually getting back the money once you've lost it is next to nothing, because when you transfer the money or the money is taken, it is then thrown around various online banks and so on and so on and so forth. So the banks themselves can't track it down. In a great way, lots of the high street banks, not so much the internet banks, but the high street banks like Nationwide, Barclays and Lloyds and things like that, and TSB, have signed up to a code whereby they each chip into a kitty. And if somebody is scammed out of money and it is not through their own fault, then they will get their money back out of this central kitty. That, though, is not going to be a bottomless well. And obviously people, the banks themselves are going to be quite stringent about who and does and doesn't get the money. So if you give over your passcode or passwords or, codes or anything like that, the chance of you getting the money back is next to nothing. In my instance, I didn't do any of that, thankfully. In fact, they were very sophisticated. They actually specified at the very start of the conversation we had with them, we do not want to know any bank details from you. We do not want to know any passwords or anything like that. They, with my instance, they were able to list off all my direct debits. They were able to list off all the last 3 times in the previous 6 months that we got money out of a cash machine. So, they are incredibly sophisticated. The best example I can give it is, I can sprint. But if you put me up against Usain Bolt, I'm going to get absolutely whooped. And that's the difference between me being on the phone to one of these scammers and the scammers themselves. They are incredibly sophisticated. They are, they've almost done degrees in psychology in knowing how to entice you, how to build your confidence, how to create a sense of panic within you yourself that you're either going to have everything taken from you or you're going to miss out on this opportunity if it's an investment scam. So the best advice is, what Nationwide is saying today, and especially for its customers, is you hang up the phone. Do not engage. The second, whether it's 1 minute in or whether it's an hour in, you just hang up the phone and you ring. So for Nationwide customers, you ring the number that they've given you. If you're with a different bank, look on the back of your debit card and ring that number. Don't just, trust that because they've rung you from the correct 0845 number or something like that, it is the bank you're talking to, or it's the investment bank that they're purporting to be. Just hang up the phone and call your own bank.
Yeah, because sometimes there are attempted scams which make it easy for you to spot, and sometimes you wonder whether they do this so when something like what happened to you takes place, you're more confident because the number's there. And I had a call yesterday which came from a number in India telling me that the £1,000 had been spent on an online casino on a card which I don't even have. There are these things which lull you into a false sense of security to make you think you're good at spotting scammers, and then they come along with something like you went through, and actually they really have got some good research which is allowing them to try and take your money.
Yeah, they will do things like you will have somebody ringing you from an investment bank with an opportunity or something like that, and you will Google the bank, the business they're pretending to be from. There'll be a website. You'll look at them on Company's House. There'll be a Company's House. You'll look at the names of the people who are contacting you, and on LinkedIn, sure enough, they'll have a profile working for that investment bank. These are not silly. These are not amateurs. This isn't somebody ringing up, as you say, and saying you've won the Nigerian lottery, give us £10,000 and you can have 10 million. It's far more sophisticated than that. And it is all built around the psychology of us as human beings to create that sense of panic and fear. And that's what they prey on. I'm sure in their mind, it's a victimless crime. It's not a victimless crime because it's like 13,000 people a day now are being scammed. And they are losing their life savings. They are losing the money they've put away for their children for the future. They're losing their retirement fund. These are not victimless crimes. These are destroying people. I'd love to say that they would always get their money back from the banks, but it's not necessarily true. So which people just need to learn to be more savvy themselves. And, you know, as with this instance with Nationwide, contact them yourself and have them tell you whether it's true or not.
Yep, absolutely. If you get a call like this, the first thing you do, maybe listen to what they have to say, take notes on what they've said, and say, fine, I'm going to call my own bank or go to my own branch to talk this through. And then you'll be able to find out for real if there is an issue.
Yeah, the thing is, well, engage. Just don't engage with them, as you know, because I know it sounds ridiculous, but they are so good at this. If you engage with them for 30 seconds, you've lost. And that's it, you're done. Just literally, as you say, hang up the phone and call your own bank.
Yep, and make sure you can protect yourself and your finances. Where can we go for more information on the work that Nationwide are doing around this?
Well, Nationwide customers can go to the Nationwide website where they'll see the contact number and various forms of contacting them. For anybody else, you can visit the FCA, so the Financial Conduct Authority, or Action Fraud, which is another online way of doing it. Even if you can't do any of those things, you can call 159 on your telephone number, which is like a 999 for bank frauding, where they will tell you whether something's kosher or not. Or, as I say, just call the number on the back of your debit card.
Do that. Talk to the people who you know are at your bank. You originate the call on a number that you previously know. Again, if they try giving you phone numbers online or on this call, don't go with it. Only go with what you know is printed on your card.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I was getting called from the fraud department.
Yeah, and so you're clearly savvy on this. You still got caught out. Fingers crossed that cash came back to you through the schemes that the banks have. But that is goodwill. It isn't anything other than them helping out where they can. And as you said, it's not a bottomless pit of money, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we were very lucky to get ours back. But as I said, you know, because it's becoming so prevalent, I don't think anyone can rely on the banks to be their safety net anymore. You know, they can help educate us, they can help support us, but I think the time is going to come when, unfortunately, it's going to be, you know, the well will be empty. So, you know, the whole point of this campaign is to educate people now on what to do, so that they hopefully don't even have to go through this.
Yep. Now, Adam Rickett, actor and victim of financial fraud, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Squire.
That's it all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 724 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.